On the planet Virelia, towers of crystal and light stretched high into the sky. The city gleamed with colors no human had ever imagined. The streets were filled with aliens of many shapes, all moving with purpose and pride. The Virelians were a sophisticated race, intelligent and graceful. They valued tradition, honor, and the ancient custom of forming life bonds with other beings. Kira, the younger of two sisters in the ruling family, walked along a balcony that overlooked the central plaza. Her white and silver hair shimmered under the sun's reflection on the crystals. She watched the people below as they prepared for a ceremony. Today, her sister Leora would announce her choice of a life bond, and the city buzzed with curiosity. Kira, a soft voice called. It was her sister's advisor, Vela, a tall alien with deep violet eyes. "Are you ready to witness history?" Kira swallowed. I think so, she said, though her heart pounded. Watching her sister form a life bond was one thing. Thinking about her own future felt different. The plaza below was crowded. Aliens of every color and shape whispered among themselves. Leora stood on a platform in the center, radiant in ceremonial robes. But beside her was a figure that made Kira's breath catch, a human. Humans were rare on Virelia. They were unpredictable, stubborn, and sometimes reckless. But they had one thing Virelians admired: resilience. The human's name was Rin, and he stood tall, looking out at the crowd with quiet confidence. His simple Earth-style clothing seemed odd against the elaborate robes of the Virelians. Yet there was something in his posture, a calm strength that made Kira feel a strange curiosity. Leora raised her voice so the crowd could hear. "Today I choose my life bond." She turned to Rin. "Rin, will you stand with me, not as a servant, not as a subject, but as a partner for the rest of our lives?" Rin nodded, his expression serious. "I will." The crowd erupted in applause. Some cheered in excitement. Others whispered doubts. A few elders frowned, shaking their heads. A human as a life bond? It was unheard of. But Leora's choice was bold, and that boldness was admired in secret. Kira's heart ached with a mixture of awe and envy. She had always admired her sister's courage. Leora had never feared the unknown. She had always trusted her instincts. And now she had chosen a human, someone from a completely different world. After the ceremony, Kira returned to her private quarters. She stared out the window at the glittering city below. "Sister, she has taken a human as her bond," she whispered to herself. "Does that mean I must?" Her thoughts were interrupted by a soft knock. It was Vela again. "Kira, there is someone who wishes to speak with you," he said. Kira raised an eyebrow. "A human?" Vela nodded. "Yes, Terran. He has come from the Earth delegation." "The Council believes it is time you meet him." Kira's heart raced. Terran was another human sent to Virelia for diplomacy. Unlike Rin, who was bold and fearless, Terran was cautious, thoughtful, and reserved. Kira felt nervous about meeting him. What if she could not form a bond? What if humans were too unpredictable, too different? She followed Vela to a garden filled with glowing plants. Terran stood there looking around with wide eyes. He had dark hair and kind brown eyes that seemed to study everything carefully. When he saw Kira, he bowed slightly. "Kira," he said, his voice calm, "it is an honor to meet you." "The honor is mine," Kira replied. She studied him closely. There was something steady about him, a sense of reliability that was different from Rin's daring confidence. Before they could speak further, a loud alarm echoed through the city. Red lights flashed across the crystal towers. Kira's heart skipped a beat. Energy storms were rare but dangerous. "An energy storm is approaching the city," Vela explained, appearing beside them. "It could damage structures and disrupt communication." Kira's instincts kicked in. She glanced at Terran. "Do you know how to handle these storms?" Terran's eyes widened. "I have studied storm patterns, but I have never faced one like this." "I can try to help," Kira nodded. "Then we must act quickly. Follow me." The sisters' residence had a command center that monitored the city's energy grids. Kira led Terran through glowing corridors, giving quick instructions to the staff. Despite his calm demeanor, Terran absorbed everything quickly. He suggested rerouting power to shield critical buildings, calculating the safest paths for citizens to evacuate. Together, Kira and Terran worked efficiently, their combined skills keeping the city safe as the storm raged outside. Sparks of electricity danced across the plaza, But the people were protected thanks to their quick thinking. When the storm finally passed, Kira and Taryn stood in the control room, breathing heavily. Taryn smiled faintly. That was intense. But we managed. Kira laughed softly. Yes, we make a good team. Her mind wandered. This human, cautious as he was, had proven himself capable under pressure. Perhaps humans were not as unpredictable as some believed. Later that evening, Kira returned to her balcony looking out at the stars above Virelia. The city was quiet now, peaceful once more. She thought about Leora and Rin, about their bond, and about Taryn. A voice broke her thoughts. It was Leora appearing at her side. Kira, she said, I see the questions in your eyes. Kira sighed. Sister, you've taken a human as your bond. Does that mean I must too? Leora smiled gently. No, little sister. You do not have to follow my path, but humans have qualities that surprise even the oldest among us. Courage, adaptability, loyalty. They are valuable in ways we never imagined. The choice is yours, but do not fear the unknown. Kira nodded, feeling a mixture of fear and excitement. Could she form a bond with a human? Could she trust her instincts as Leora had? She turned back to the balcony, looking at the stars. Somewhere out there, humans waited, ready to teach her, challenge her, and maybe even change her world forever. For the first time, Kira felt the stirrings of hope. Perhaps her life bond would not just be a tradition, but an adventure. As the city lights shimmered below, Kira made a silent promise to herself. She would face the unknown, embrace whatever challenges came, and discover whether a human could truly become her bond. And somewhere far away, Taryn also thought about Kira. The calm, graceful alien had shown courage today, intelligence and determination. Perhaps this journey would change him as much as it would change her. The night passed quietly over Virelia, but the beginning of something extraordinary had already begun. The morning on Virelia began with a soft glow, sunlight bouncing off crystal towers and painting the streets in sparkling colors. Kira woke early, her thoughts still lingering on her sister's bond with Rin. She wondered if she would ever find a human she could trust and rely on in the same way. A soft chime at her door interrupted her thoughts. It was Vela, the family advisor. Kira, Taryn is ready to meet you again. The council has approved a joint assignment for both of you. Kira's heart quickened. The council had decided she and Taryn should work together on a city project, a test of skill, collaboration, and judgment. It was unusual, but perhaps it was fate nudging her toward a decision. She nodded and followed Vela to the project site. Taryn was already there, examining a holographic map of the city's power grids. Good morning, he said politely, smiling. I've been reviewing the energy channels and infrastructure. There are several weak points that might cause trouble in future storms. Kira studied him. He was precise and careful, every move calculated. It was different from Rin, who relied on instinct and boldness. She found herself curious about Taryn's way of thinking. The council wants us to reinforce the northern sector before the next energy surge, Kira explained. It's risky, but if we succeed, the city will be safer. Can you handle it? Taryn nodded without hesitation. I will do my best. They set off together toward the northern sector. The streets shimmered with sunlight, but tension filled the air. Kira noticed the citizens staring at the unusual pair, a young Virelian noble and a human walking side by side. Whispers followed them. A human with the ruling family. Will it succeed? As they reached the outskirts, Kira surveyed the terrain. The northern sector was filled with towering crystalline structures, and beneath them ran the energy channels that powered the city. One wrong move could destabilize everything. We'll need to reroute some energy flows, Kira said. It's delicate work. One miscalculation, and the entire grid could collapse. Taryn examined the channels, fingers tracing the holographic map projected before him. I have an idea, he said carefully. If we redirect energy incrementally, using smaller conduits first, it should reduce the risk. Then we can strengthen the main channels. Kira raised her eyebrows. Cautious. I like that. She smiled faintly, feeling a strange sense of partnership forming. As they worked, small incidents tested their coordination. A conduit spark threatened to ignite nearby crystalline growth. Kira acted quickly, stabilizing it with a control panel. Taryn immediately recalculated the flow, preventing further danger. They worked together seamlessly, their skills complementing each other. Kira's quick decisions matched Terran's careful calculations. Slowly, the northern sector became safer under their hands. But as they reached the final stage of their project, a sudden tremor shook the ground. The sky darkened as a minor energy storm approached, more violent than expected. "Kira," Terran shouted. "The main conduits might not hold." Kira's mind raced. The storm could destroy all their work. She glanced at Terran. "We have no time to wait. We need to act together now." Without hesitation, they split tasks. Kira climbed the structures, adjusting the energy nodes manually, while Terran rerouted flows using the control systems. Sparks flew and the ground shook beneath them. Citizens watched from a distance, worried but unable to help. At one point, a surge of energy knocked Kira off balance. She grabbed a conduit just in time, feeling the heat against her fingers. Terran reached out through the control panel, guiding her movements. "Hold steady." "Almost there." Together, they completed the final rerouting. The storm passed, leaving only minor disruptions. The northern sector was safe, and the energy channel stabilized. Kira and Terran collapsed on the ground, exhausted but relieved. "We did it," Kira said, breathing heavily. Terran smiled faintly. Yes, together. The experience left Kira with new thoughts. Humans were not reckless as some Varelians believed. They were clever, adaptable, and capable under pressure. And Terran, he had proven himself reliable, patient, and brave. As they walked back to the city, Kira noticed a small crowd following them. Citizens whispered in admiration, surprised at how well a human and a Varelian noble had worked together. Some nodded approvingly. Others looked skeptical but thoughtful. Later that day, Kira and Terran met in a private garden. It was quiet, filled with glowing plants and soft humming from the city's energy fields. Kira sat on a bench watching Terran examine a small Varelian flower. "Why do you care so much about these energy systems?" she asked curiously. Terran looked at her. "On Earth, I studied how cities survive storms and disasters. Every system has weaknesses, but with the right planning, people can survive almost anything. I guess I like to fix problems before they become disasters." Kira smiled softly. "You're very different from my sister's human. Rin acts on instinct, leaps into action without thinking. You calculate, plan, then act." Terran shrugged. "Different humans, different skills. Rin's boldness saved your sister before, but planning also matters. We all have our ways to survive." Kira felt a spark of respect. Humans, she realized, were not one thing. They were many things, each unique. Perhaps forming a bond with one meant discovering new possibilities. Their conversation was interrupted by a messenger. "Princess Kira, the council requests your presence. There is a matter they wish to discuss regarding life bonds." Kira's stomach tightened. The council was strict, and any hint of failure could have consequences. She glanced at Terran. "Will you come with me?" Terran nodded. "I will. I'm not here to judge, only to help." The council chamber was grand, filled with alien elders who watched her closely. Their voices were calm, but the weight of expectation was heavy. "Kira," the council leader began, "we observe your actions with the human Terran. You have faced challenges, worked together, but forming a life bond is more than cooperation. It requires trust, loyalty, and mutual understanding. Are you ready to explore this possibility?" Kira swallowed. She glanced at Terran. His calm gaze reassured her. "I wish to try," she said, her voice steady. The elders nodded slowly. "Very well. You may proceed to the trial phase. But remember, your actions now will influence not just your future, but the perception of humans across Varelia." The trial phase was a test of courage and cooperation. Kira and Terran were assigned to travel to the Crystal Forest, a vast area filled with towering crystalline growths and deep energy fissures. There they would navigate dangerous terrain, recover a rare energy crystal, and return safely. As they prepared to leave, Kira's thoughts turned to her sister. Leora had chosen a human, faced no trial, and had earned respect. Could she do the same? Could she trust herself to work with Terran, not just as a companion, but as a partner? Terran broke her thoughts. "We should move. The forest is dangerous, but I believe we can succeed if we work together." Kira nodded. "Together," she agreed, feeling a new determination. The journey to the Crystal Forest was filled with challenges. Strange creatures roamed the area, and energy surges occasionally lit the sky. Kira led with confidence while Terran analyzed patterns, predicting hazards before they occurred. Their skills complemented each other perfectly. At one point, a narrow bridge of crystal trembled beneath them. Kira froze. "If we fall," she whispered. Taryn took her hand gently. "We won't. Step carefully. I'll guide you." Together they crossed safely, hearts pounding but spirits high. They reached the location of the rare energy crystal, a glowing gem pulsing with light. Retrieving it was difficult, requiring careful coordination. Taryn's precision and Kira's agility ensured success. As they returned to the city with the crystal, Kira realized something important. Forming a bond with a human was not about fear or tradition. It was about trust, understanding, and discovering strengths she never knew existed. Taryn smiled as they reached the city gates. "We did well." Kira nodded, feeling pride and excitement. "Yes, we did, maybe. This bond, one could really work." That night, as she lay in her quarters, Kira thought about the day. Humans were different, but not weak. They were clever, adaptable, and brave. And Taryn, he had shown her that a bond could be more than tradition. It could be a partnership, a shared journey. For the first time, Kira looked forward to the trials ahead, not with fear, but with curiosity and hope. Somewhere across Veralia, a new story was beginning, one that would test courage, trust, and the extraordinary potential of humans and Verelians working together. And Kira knew, deep in her heart, that her life would never be the same. The morning light fell softly over Veralia, casting long shadows across the city. Kira stood at the edge of the city gates, looking toward the crystal forest. The massive trees of living crystal shimmered in the sunlight, each one glowing with its own light. Energy pulsed through the ground beneath them, unpredictable and dangerous. The council had warned that this trial would test every skill, every decision, and every ounce of courage. Taryn stood beside her, carrying a compact device for scanning energy fields. "Are you ready?" he asked. Kira took a deep breath. "I think so, but this is not just about the crystal. It's about trust, about whether we can work together." Taryn nodded. "Then let's begin. We'll face it together." They entered the forest cautiously. The air was thick with energy, crackling softly underfoot. Every step they took made the crystals around them vibrate and hum. Kira felt a mix of excitement and fear. The forest was beautiful, but it was also unpredictable. Their first challenge appeared quickly. A section of the path had collapsed, leaving a wide gap over a glowing fissure. The edges were jagged, and the energy below pulsed like a heartbeat. Kira studied it, her sharp eyes noting the safest path. "We'll need to jump together," she said. "I'll go first, then you follow my lead." Taryn adjusted his stance, calculating distances. "Understood." Kira leaped carefully, landing on a stable crystal. Taryn followed, moving slowly but deliberately, trusting Kira's path. Together they crossed safely. Kira felt a thrill of relief and pride. Even in this strange, dangerous forest, their teamwork was working. As they moved deeper, the forest seemed to sense their presence. Crystals glowed brighter, energy pulses quickened, and strange creatures appeared. They were small, agile and curious, with translucent bodies that reflected the light around them. One brushed against Taryn's leg, causing him to stumble slightly. Kira reached out instantly, steadying him. "Careful," she said, smiling. "This forest tests every reaction." Taryn laughed softly. "I can see that, but we're learning fast." Hours passed as they navigated the forest. Each challenge tested them in different ways. Some required agility, jumping across unstable crystal bridges or climbing tall structures. Some tested intelligence, deciphering glowing symbols to unlock paths or redirect energy safely. Some tested patience, waiting out energy pulses or studying strange creatures to understand how to avoid danger. Through it all, Kira and Taryn learned to anticipate each other's moves. When Kira made a quick decision, Taryn adjusted instantly. When Taryn suggested a cautious approach, Kira slowed and followed his lead. Slowly, a rhythm formed between them, a silent understanding that neither needed to explain everything aloud. Their greatest challenge awaited near the heart of the forest, the Crystal Nexus, a massive formation where energy converged from all directions. In the center of the nexus was the rare energy crystal they were sent to retrieve. It glowed brighter than anything Kira had ever seen, pulsing with a steady light, but it was surrounded by unstable energy currents, shifting pathways, and deep fissures that could swallow them whole. "We have to be careful," Kira said, studying the patterns. One wrong step and the crystal could be lost. Or worse, Terran studied it with his scanning device. The currents are unpredictable, but I think I can calculate the safest path if you lead. Kira nodded. Then we moved together. They approached the crystal slowly. Kira leaped from crystal to crystal, placing her feet carefully. Terran followed, adjusting his movements based on her actions. The energy pulses grew stronger, vibrating through their bodies. Sparks flew around them, but they pressed on. Halfway to the crystal, the ground trembled violently. A fissure opened beneath them, forcing Kira to jump to a small ledge. Terran followed, but the ledge cracked under his weight. Kira grabbed his arm just in time, pulling him to safety. "Thank you," he said, breathing heavily. I couldn't have done it without you." Kira smiled faintly. "We're a team. That's how we survive." Finally, they reached the crystal. Its light bathed them in warmth, and Kira felt a rush of accomplishment. Terran extended his hand, carefully extracting the crystal from its pedestal. Energy surged around them, but they held steady, protecting each other as they stepped back. "We did it," Kira said, her voice filled with wonder. Terran nodded, smiling. "Yes, together." But the trial was not over. As they turned to leave, a massive energy surge erupted from the nexus. The ground shook violently and the forest seemed to come alive. Crystals shifted, fissures widened, and the path back was blocked. Kira's heart raced. "We need to move quickly. Follow me." They ran through the forest, jumping over gaps, climbing unstable bridges, and avoiding falling crystal shards. Terran's careful calculations and Kira's quick instincts kept them safe. Each challenge strengthened their trust. Each risk taken together formed a bond neither had expected. At one point, Kira slipped on a glowing surface, nearly falling into a fissure. Terran grabbed her hand, pulling her to safety. "I've got you," he said firmly. Kira's chest swelled with a strange emotion. It was not just relief, it was trust, a deep confidence that Terran would always act wisely, that he would not fail her. Finally, they emerged from the forest, exhausted but victorious. The city lights glimmered in the distance, welcoming them back. Kira held the crystal carefully, feeling its warmth. She glanced at Terran, who looked tired but satisfied. "You were amazing today," she said softly. "So were you," he replied. "We worked well together. Better than I expected." Kira smiled, feeling a mix of pride and hope. Humans, she realized, were not merely beings of chance. They had intelligence, courage, and resilience. And Terran? He had proven that a human could be more than a partner in tradition. He could be a true companion, someone she could rely on in the most dangerous moments. Back in the city, the council awaited their report. Kira presented the crystal and explained their journey. The elders listened intently, some nodding in approval, others silently surprised. A human had succeeded in the trial, not by luck but through skill, courage, and cooperation. One elder, a tall figure with deep amber eyes, finally spoke. "Princess Kira, your performance demonstrates more than skill. It shows trust, loyalty, and courage. The bond you are forming is not just symbolic, it is genuine. Humans may indeed be more capable than we have believed." Kira felt a rush of relief and pride. She glanced at Terran, who smiled back. Their journey had changed them both. Later that evening, Kira returned to her quarters. She sat quietly thinking about the day's events. The crystal forest had tested every skill, every decision, every instinct. And through it all, Terran had proven himself a worthy partner. A soft knock came at her door. It was Leora. "How did it go?" she asked, her voice calm but curious. Kira smiled. "Better than I imagined, Terran. He is reliable, brave, and clever, I think. I think this bond could work." Leora's eyes sparkled. "I knew you would see it. Humans are unpredictable, yes, but they are also capable of greatness. Trust yourself, Kira. You are wise enough to choose the right partner." Kira nodded, feeling a warmth in her heart. For the first time, she truly believed that forming a bond with a human was not just possible. It could be the beginning of something extraordinary. As night fell over Virelia, the stars above sparkled like diamonds. Kira thought about the journey ahead, the trials yet to come, and the bond that was slowly growing between her and Terran. It was a bond built not on tradition alone, but on trust, courage, and shared experience. And somewhere deep in her heart, Kira knew that this bond would change not only her life but perhaps the future of Virelia itself. The story of a Virelian princess and a human was only beginning, and the galaxy had no idea how extraordinary it could become. The city of Virelia was quieter than usual. The crystal towers reflected soft light as citizens went about their routines, but tension lingered in the air. Word of Kira's success in the crystal forest had spread quickly. Many admired her courage and intelligence, yet others whispered doubts about the involvement of a human. Kira walked with Terran along the main boulevard, feeling the stares of citizens. Some looked impressed, some curious, and a few suspicious. Terran noticed it too. "They are watching us," he said quietly. "Some support us. Some do not," Kira nodded. "I know, but we cannot worry about everyone. We must focus on what we are doing and what we have proven." Their task that day was a demonstration of teamwork and human adaptability. The council had arranged a simulation of a citywide emergency, an energy surge that could disrupt the city's power grid. Kira and Terran were to coordinate the response, showing how well they worked together. But not all members of the council were pleased. Some elders openly questioned whether humans should be trusted with the city's safety. Whispers of sabotage and hidden dangers followed them as they entered the control center. "Princess Kira," said one elder with pale green eyes, "we admire your success in the crystal forest. But how can you be certain a human can maintain loyalty under extreme pressure?" "The council has doubts." Kira's chest tightened, but she kept her voice calm. "Terran has proven his loyalty and skill repeatedly. Trust is earned, not assumed. I trust him because he has shown he is capable." The elder narrowed his eyes but said nothing further. Others in the chamber shifted uncomfortably, unsure whether to support him or Kira. The simulation began. Red alarms flashed across the city as energy surges threatened to destabilize buildings. Kira and Terran jumped into action. Kira coordinated with the city's maintenance teams, giving instructions, rerouting energy, and stabilizing critical areas. Terran worked with precision, analyzing each surge, predicting weak points, and guiding the team in real time. At first, everything seemed manageable. But then an unexpected complication arose. A conduit failed, threatening to overload the northern district. Sparks flew and energy arcs leapt dangerously close to citizens' homes. "Kira," Terran shouted. "The northern conduit is failing faster than expected." Kira's mind raced. The council members watched tensely from the observation room. This could be the moment to prove Terran's worth, or to confirm the skeptics' doubts. "Follow my instructions carefully," Kira said, pointing at control panels. "I'll stabilize the nodes. Terran, redirect the auxiliary energy. We must act together." They moved swiftly, every second counting. Sparks flew around them as Terran recalculated energy flows, and Kira manually adjusted nodes with agility and precision. The failed conduit threatened to explode, but with combined effort they managed to stabilize it. The council chamber fell silent. Kira turned to Terran. "Did we succeed?" Terran smiled faintly. "Yes. We prevented the surge from causing damage." Even the skeptical elder had to acknowledge the outcome. Kira's choice to trust a human had been validated through action. The council's whispers quieted, replaced by murmurs of admiration. Yet challenges were not over. Later that day, Kira received a message. A cultural misunderstanding had occurred with visiting dignitaries. A human habit had been misinterpreted as disrespect. The situation could escalate into a political problem, and Kira was called to negotiate. "I will handle it," she said to Terran. "But I may need your insight." Terran nodded. "I can help. Sometimes humans and Varelians interpret gestures differently. Understanding each other is important." At the negotiation, Kira and Terran worked together seamlessly. Kira explained the human perspective, while Terran added his calm reasoning, showing respect for both cultures. The dignitaries listened, eventually nodding in understanding. What could have become a major conflict turned into a successful demonstration of cooperation and diplomacy. As the day ended, Kira and Terran walked through the city. Citizens now looked at them with admiration rather than doubt. Some even stopped to ask how a human could be so skilled and reliable. "Humans are remarkable," Kira said quietly. "I understand why my sister chose Rin. I see now how humans can complement our abilities in ways we cannot alone." Terran smiled. "And I am learning that Varelians are courageous, thoughtful, and wise. Together we can face challenges neither of us could handle alone." Their conversation was interrupted by a soft voice behind them. Leora appeared, her eyes calm and bright. "I have watched your progress. You have proven that a bond with a human is not weakness. It is strength." Kira felt warmth in her chest. "Thank you, sister."
Terran has
shown me courage, intelligence, and loyalty. I think I am ready to trust him fully." Leora smiled. "That trust will guide you, Kira. Humans can teach us much, and sometimes we teach them too. Bonds are not just for tradition. They are for growth, understanding, and unity." As night fell, Kira returned to her quarters with Taryn. They sat by the window, looking at the glittering city below. Kira held the rare energy crystal from the trial in her hands, its light reflecting in her eyes. "Taryn," she said softly, "today was proof, not only for the council but for me. I see now that a bond with you is more than tradition. It is something real, something powerful." Taryn reached out, taking her hand. "I feel the same. This bond, it is more than expected. I trust you, Kira. I hope you can trust me fully as well." Kira nodded. "I do, and I will. Together we can face anything." That night, Kira slept with a sense of peace. The opposition, the political tension, and the whispers of doubt no longer weighed heavily on her. She had seen Taryn's strength, loyalty, and intelligence firsthand. The bond they were forming was real, not just ceremonial. Meanwhile, the city continued to hum with life. Citizens now spoke in whispers of admiration for the princess and the human who had proven themselves in the Crystal Forest and in the city's trials. Even skeptics began to reconsider their views, realizing that humans could be more capable than tradition allowed them to believe. The next morning, Kira awoke to the soft chime of her communicator. A new challenge awaited. A sudden energy fluctuation had been detected near the outskirts of the city. While it was minor, it was a test, an opportunity to prove again that Kira and Taryn could work together under pressure. "Taryn," Kira said, meeting him at the control center, "we need to respond quickly. The city is counting on us." Taryn nodded, adjusting his equipment. "Let's go. We've handled worse." As they moved toward the outskirts, Kira reflected on the past days. Each challenge had strengthened their bond, each risk had built trust, and each successful decision had proven the value of humans working alongside Varelians. When they arrived, they found a minor energy storm forming over the outskirts. Crystalline growths crackled with electricity, and small fissures threatened nearby buildings. Without hesitation, Kira and Taryn began their work. Kira directed citizens to safety while Taryn calculated safe energy channels to stabilize the storm. Sparks flew around them and the ground trembled, but neither faltered. Step by step, they neutralized the storm, their coordination flawless. Finally, the energy fluctuations subsided. The outskirts were safe and the city had been protected once more. Kira and Taryn stood side by side, exhausted but victorious. "This bond," Kira said softly, looking at Taryn, "is not just tradition. It is trust, courage, and teamwork. Together we are stronger than we ever imagined." Taryn nodded. "And together we can face whatever comes next." The council observed from a distance, now fully convinced. Humans, they realized, were not just unpredictable creatures, they were capable, intelligent, and loyal partners. Kira and Taryn's success had changed perceptions, not only for themselves but for all humans and Varelians who might form bonds in the future. As night fell over Varelia, the city shimmered in quiet celebration. Citizens whispered of the princess and her human partner, inspired by the courage and cooperation they had witnessed. Kira sat in her quarters thinking about the journey ahead. The trials were not over, but she now knew one thing for certain. With Taryn by her side, she could face any challenge. Their bond was more than tradition, it was real, and it had the power to change not only their lives but the future of Varelia itself. The stars above shone brightly, and Kira felt a sense of hope and determination. The story of a Varelian princess and a human had only begun, and the galaxy would soon see how extraordinary such a partnership could become. The city of Varelia was alive with energy that morning. Crystal towers glimmered in every color, reflecting sunlight and illuminating streets below. Citizens gathered in the central plaza, eager to witness the culmination of weeks of trials and demonstrations. Today was the day the council would officially recognize Kira's bond with Taryn, the human who had proven himself through courage, skill, and loyalty. Kira stood on a balcony overlooking the plaza, her hands clasped together. Her silver-white hair caught the sunlight as her eyes scanned the crowd. Citizens of all shapes and colors whispered excitedly. The skeptics, once doubtful of humans, now looked on with curiosity and respect. Taryn stood beside her, calm but alert, carrying the same quiet confidence that had helped them survive the crystal forest and the city's energy challenges. He glanced at Kira. "Are you ready?" he asked softly. Kira took a deep breath. "I am, more than ready. We've come this far together now. It's time for the world to see what we can do." They descended into the plaza. The council was already assembled, elders in flowing robes that shimmered with light. The council leader, a tall figure with deep amber eyes, stepped forward. "Princess Kira," he began, his voice echoing across the plaza, "you have faced trials that tested not only skill but judgment, courage, and trust. You have chosen to work alongside a human, Taryn, who has proven himself capable in every way. Today we formally recognize your life bond." Kira felt her chest tighten with pride. She glanced at Taryn. His calm gaze reassured her, a silent promise that they had faced every challenge together. The council leader continued, "This bond is more than tradition. It is a symbol of unity, strength, and mutual respect. Through it, humans and Varelians can learn from each other and achieve what neither could alone." A murmur of agreement passed through the crowd. Some citizens clapped quietly. Others nodded in approval. Even skeptics looked thoughtful, reconsidering their doubts about humans and the potential of cross-species partnerships. Kira stepped forward, turning to Taryn. "Today we are not just proving a bond to the council. We are proving it to ourselves, and to everyone who doubts that humans can be trusted, respected, and admired." Taryn smiled. "And I am proud to face this with you, Kira. Together we can do more than anyone imagined." The ceremony began. Symbols of Varelian culture were presented alongside a simple human token, a pendant from Taryn's home planet. When placed together, they glowed with energy, a visible sign of harmony between their worlds. Kira reached out, taking Taryn's hand. Their fingers intertwined naturally, a perfect fit despite the differences between their species. The council chanted softly, acknowledging the bond. Energy flowed around Kira and Taryn, illuminating the plaza in radiant colors. Citizens gasped in awe at the spectacle, feeling the connection between the two beings. It was more than a ceremony. It was a moment of unity that transcended culture, tradition, and expectation. After the ceremony, the crowd cheered. Citizens approached cautiously, offering congratulations and praise. Some spoke of fear turned to respect. Others spoke of curiosity about humans and what they could teach the Varelians. Kira realized that their bond had already started to change perceptions, planting seeds of understanding and cooperation. Leora appeared beside them, smiling proudly. "You've done well, little sister," she said. "You and Taryn have proven that humans are more than we imagined. You've shown courage, intelligence, and heart." Kira looked at her sister, feeling gratitude and admiration. "Thank you, sister. Your choice inspired me. I saw what was possible," Taryn nodded, "and your courage guided me. Without you, I could not have succeeded." As the day continued, Kira and Taryn were invited to the council chambers to discuss future plans. The city faced ongoing challenges: energy surges, expansion of the crystal structures, and the integration of human technology into Varelian systems. Their bond was not only symbolic but practical. Together they would plan projects, solve problems, and lead with shared intelligence and trust. Kira realized that the bond gave her more than companionship. It gave her perspective. Humans had ideas and creativity that Varelians rarely considered. Taryn's calm problem-solving complemented her quick instincts perfectly. The city would benefit greatly from this partnership. As evening approached, Kira and Taryn walked through the city streets. Citizens no longer stared suspiciously. Some smiled, others waved. Children pointed and whispered about the princess and her human friend. Kira felt a warmth in her heart. She knew that humans could inspire not only Varelians but future generations to see beyond fear and tradition. They stopped at a quiet garden, where glowing flowers swayed gently. Kira held the rare energy crystal from the forest in her hands, still warm with power. "Taryn," she said softly, "I never imagined that a bond could mean so much. Not just for me, but for the city, for our people. You've changed how I see humans, and how the world sees them," Taryn smiled. "And you've changed how I see Varelians. This bond, it is more than tradition. It is trust, respect, and partnership. Together we are stronger than anyone expected." Kira looked up at the sky, where stars glittered above Varelia. "The council recognizes our bond, and the citizens have seen our strength. But there is still so much to do. Together we can protect this city, improve it, and show that humans and Varelians can work as one. Terran nodded. And we will. Whatever comes next, we face it together. The next days were filled with planning and cooperation. Kira and Terran integrated human techniques with Varelian technology. They developed new energy channels, improved city defenses, and trained teams that combined both species' strengths. Citizens watched in amazement as humans and Varelians worked side by side, learning from each other. Some skeptics still lingered, but they could no longer deny the evidence. Humans were capable, intelligent, and loyal. The bond between Kira and Terran had become a living example of what was possible when two very different worlds chose to trust and respect each other. One evening, Kira turned to Terran as they walked along the balcony of the ruling palace. "I never thought I would feel this way about a human. You've shown me courage, intelligence, and patience. I trust you completely." Terran took her hand gently. "And I trust you, Kira. Your courage, leadership, and wisdom have shown me what it means to be a true partner. I am proud to stand by your side." Kira smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. The bond was no longer just a symbol or a test, it was real. It was a partnership built on trust, respect, and shared experience. It was the beginning of something extraordinary. That night, as the city slept, Kira and Terran stood on the balcony, looking at the stars. The future was full of challenges, but they faced it together. The human and the Varelian princess had proven that differences could be strengths, that trust could overcome doubt, and that courage and intelligence could unite worlds. Leora appeared beside Kira, placing a hand on her sister's shoulder. "You've done more than prove yourself. You've inspired the city, the council, and even those who doubted humans. Your bond shows what is possible when fear is replaced by trust." Kira turned to her sister, smiling. "Thank you, Leora. You showed me the way." Leora nodded. "And now you will show others." The galaxy will remember this story, not just as a human and a Varelian bonding, but as a tale of courage, respect, and unity. Kira squeezed Terran's hand. Together they looked at the glowing city below, feeling a sense of purpose and hope. The bond they had formed was not the end of their story. It was the beginning. Across Viralia, citizens spoke of the princess and her human partner. The story spread beyond the city, inspiring others to consider humans in a new light. Some young Varelians even expressed interest in forming bonds of their own, learning from the example set by Kira and Terran. For Kira, the lessons were clear. Courage could overcome fear, trust could bridge worlds, and partnership could create possibilities no individual could achieve alone. Terran had shown her that humans were extraordinary, and she had shown him that Varelians were courageous and wise. The stars above twinkled, and the city sparkled below. The future was uncertain, but one thing was certain. Together they could face anything. Kira whispered softly to Terran, "This is only the beginning, isn't it?" Terran smiled. "Yes, Kira. The beginning of everything we can achieve together." And so, the story of the Varelian princess and the human became legend. A tale of courage, trust, and unity that would inspire generations to come. Humans and Varelians alike learned that bonds built on respect and understanding could change worlds. The night was quiet, but the promise of a brighter, united future shone brightly over Varelia.